What's going on, guys? Chris here with 4K Motoring, and today we've got another product review. We've been sent a portable jump starter unit. I know we've reviewed some on the channel before. We've been sent one to review, and I'll give you guys my thoughts on it. I've used one of these jump starters pretty often for the last couple of years. I have one I keep in my work vehicle, and I've used it several times on a bunch of different projects, and they've been wonderful to have. Something that's as small as these things are that can start a vehicle are fantastic to have. This one was sent to me by the company Solvtin. Now, this is a Chinese company that clearly does not have the best grasp of English, but I think the product from the specs that I'm looking at actually seems to be a pretty decent product. So let's go ahead and open it up and see what's inside. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and cut the wrapping off of it. Enjoy the hand working. I'm sure that means something different in Chinese. Let's go ahead and open it up. Before we do, we can see our specs on it. So it's saying it's a 55 watt hour storage battery with a starting current of 400 amps and a peak current of 2000 amps, which is quite a difference. So I'm curious what exactly this is able to do. The big thing I like is that it does charge from a USB-C or power delivery 30 watt charger. And I believe it has output in that as well, so that'll work with most modern phones and modern electronics. Let's go ahead and open it up. So inside the box comes with actually a pretty decent carrying case. This is, I think, a very important thing for these because they do tend to sit in vehicles and get bounced around quite a lot. So I enjoy the jump starters that have a decent case. We'll go ahead and open it up, see what's inside. So we have a pretty well organized pouch here that has, looks like our accessories on one side, and it's going to have our actual charger on the other with some paperwork. Here's our jump starter. We can see when we press the power button, we actually have a digital readout of the battery percentage. This is saying 78%. I know the USB sometimes flickers at a different rate as the camera, but it's very clearly saying 78%, 5 volts, 2.4 amps. Out is what it's listing. So input is a Type-C 30 watt charger, just like the Pixel 6 has. Out, it's got 5 volt, 9 volt, 12 volt, 5 volt, 2.4 amps. So with our power button, we do have our flashlight. We can press and hold the power button and get our flashlight to come on. It has a pulsing mode as well. SOS mode, they all seem to do this. Overall, this has a nice rubberized construction, so I think you can set it down, it's not going to slide a whole lot, and it looks pretty protective. So build quality wise, it is pretty impressive compared to some of the ones I've used. Again, on the back we have our same information, so you don't have to keep track of anything else. Jump starting 4.8 volt DC. So this is roughly the same size as the one I've been using, so I have no concerns about that. We have our jumper cable spot right on top that is weather sealed. And as far as accessories goes, first we're going to have our USB-C cable. I imagine that's to charge the device. We're going to have our jump starting connector, which is exactly the same one that I've used in pretty much all of my other jump starters, so this must be a very universal Chinese product. It's got a boost button for when you need to jump start something quickly. It's got indicators if you've had it hooked up correctly or incorrectly, and it has instructions in the back as well. In the box we also have a USB-A to USB-C cable, and we have our USB-C block. So that'll be our charging brick. That's a USB-A, which I imagine is what this cable is to charge the device. So what I want to test now is exactly how fast this does charge. It's showing that the Type-C input, the power delivery input, is an in-out input of up to 30 watts. And as you guys know, I have a Pixel 6 Pro, which also charges at up to 30 watts. My phone is saying it's at 67%, so I think we'll be able to get a good gauge on how fast it is charging. I've got the app AccuBattery up and running that's telling me a lot about what the battery is doing right now. So I'm hopeful I'll be able to find out exactly how fast it's charging when we plug it up. Okay, so we can see we have our charging screen. We're going to go ahead and connect our USB-C cord from our charger, which is currently at 78%. And we're going to go ahead and connect to our phone. It recognizes it's charging. And let's see what it tells us here pretty quickly. So it's showing current charge at about 3,100 milliamps. All right, we've gained 1% and we've dropped 1% on the Solvtin. So the battery capacity of this phone is just over 5,000 milliamp hours, which from what this says, this is supposed to be 55.5 watt hours, which seems like quite a lot. So let's see what our outcome is after this test is complete. Well guys, here we are. We're 35 minutes into charging. We're up to 92% on the phone. We are down to 48% on the battery pack, which in doing some math leads me to believe that 55.5 watt hours may not be exactly correct for this particular unit. But that said, I didn't have this thing fully charged, so I don't know if the battery monitor is completely accurate and calibrated to what it's fully capable of. They did ship it at 80%, just below 80%, which is about optimal for long-term storage of these lithium-ion batteries. So there's a chance that's just not accurate yet. But what I can say is that the charging did occur very quickly. I'm happy with that performance. I think that's adequate. I know it charges very quickly, and it did charge very quickly from 70-ish% all the way up to 80-85%. It slowed down pretty dramatically after that, but still has been charging at 1,000 milliamps, which is to be expected for basically the Pixel phone. So that's more of a phone issue than a charger. Well guys, that's my impression of this jump starting unit. Chinese to English is not great, but otherwise I do like the features of it, and I think it's going to be a welcome addition to our fleet here. I like to keep one of these in pretty much all of my vehicles because they store forever, these lithium-ion batteries, especially when charged correctly. They don't really self-discharge and they will last a long time. So you can charge it and just set it in your vehicle. If you need to charge something on an emergency, it's great. But if your battery dies sometimes, because they always will, especially when it hits winter, as they're a couple years old, you'll start to run into times where it's slow starting and then they'll die on you. And rather than being stuck out somewhere, having a $60 to $150 service call, which a lot of companies charge just to come jumpstart your battery, you can have your own jump starter, take care of your battery, and get it all taken care of as you need. I'm also pretty stoked to have an additional one to bring with me on our trip down to Austin for our MotoGP race. Now, the Multistrada itself has plenty of charging ports on it, both under the seat and up front, so I'm not too bummed about that. But one thing I wanted to keep track of and make sure we had, especially for our Iron Butt ride, is a way to charge our Cardo Packtalk units that we're all using. I've used them on trips before and they were good for a long road trip, but when it comes to the Iron Butt, where you're going to be pushing much farther than 12 hours, probably 16, 17 hours maybe by the end of the day, we wanted to have something that when we stopped, we could plug them in real quick, especially for our lunch breaks, the couple longer stops, be able to plug them in and maybe not get a full charge, but get enough of a top off to keep riding and keep using them. They do also do charging while you're using them, but running a cord, especially when it's plugged into the bottom where gravity has its effect, sometimes doesn't work great on a motorcycle. So I'd rather just take them off when we stop somewhere, charge them, put them back on, and rock and roll. As always guys, I'm Chris, this is 4K Motoring, and enjoy the hand working.